When you live in a small town, everyone knows where you've been and what you have done. I've been trying to leave this old town since I...
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zeta.
And I'm Kelly, and you're listening to
Two Sides and the Truth.
All right, so we're back for another week. I don't have a lot of catching up, but a little bit. My weekend was a good and a hard weekend. I had a family funeral, so it was obviously very hard. I'm happy that I got to see my family. I got to see a lot of people that I don't see very often, which kind of hurts my heart because I'm like, I need to see my family more often. And you always think about that when you're at a funeral.
And doesn't it suck? It's always at a funeral, which means there's always someone important not there.
Yeah.
Because they've died. Yeah.
Yes. And funerals are very hard for me. And I pretty much dissociate in funerals. So I guess I can kind of seem a little heartless because I don't ever like cry or get emotional and everything. But that's because I'm just
zoning out.
I'm not really there. Yeah. I mean, I'm there, but I'm not really there because that's just my brain takes over because I have a dissociative part of my brain because I've had trauma from when I was very young. So ever since then, whenever something gets too hard, my brain just kind of zones out to protect me. And but I'm glad I got to see my family. We got to hang out, and my mom wanted to go and eat Mexican food after. She loves going to Campuzano's. But they had, obviously, after the funeral, they had a big, food. They had barbecue for everybody.
Right.
My mom's not big on barbecue, though. So we're walking into the afterwards, like the reception to eat food. And they have a whole big table of desserts. I was like, why don't we just eat desserts now?
You know how much I love funeral food.
And then we can go eat, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. I was like, it's the only kind I have. So we eat dessert there and we hang out and then we all go and we ate Mexican food. And so we're sitting at the restaurant, which at Campuzano's, they have a little mechanical bull out front. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but they have I don't know if it's all the time or if it was just on the weekends or just that day.
Well, you know
probably
what?
for Cinco de Mayo.
Probably for Cinco de Mayo.
So they had a little bull out front, and it was so funny. But anyway, so we get up to the table, and we're all talking, and Annie's there, so she talks to me about the podcast anytime she sees me about like what she's listened to and everything like that. So then my brother, which is my younger brother, but he's the oldest of my younger brothers. Okay. He's 18.
He's the oldest of the second set. That's what I call that. It's a new set.
It's the new generation. Yeah, he's the oldest. So he was like, I didn't know that you had a podcast.
What?
And I was like, yes, you did. I've talked about it. And then my mom was the same way. I was like, I have talked about it before. Y'all just don't listen. And so, but then of course he's like, well, where can you listen to it? I was like, well, it's not really geared towards you, your generation or you. I was like, and then I was thinking about it. And of course, the week that we dropped the sex drive episode is the first one that's going to pop up whenever you go look for it.
It's not just that. Zol. Okay, look, y'all, sometimes we record things on different days.
Yeah.
So we recorded with Zol, and then we recorded our section. Was it different days, or did I just take them home? It was different days, I think. Yeah, when we came back, it got too loud. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I didn't put two and two together that the sex drive conversation was going to be on the same episode that Zol's conversation was on. Which was the one we talked? Oh, okay. It wasn't the sex drive.
Before.
It was when I was talking about what men do with their dicks while they're on the toilet. So I don't think about that. And so then Zol's like, hey, send me that link. I want my friends to listen.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I didn't send it.
Yeah.
And so then he asked again. I was like, okay. I didn't send it again. So then he's at school day before yesterday, I think it was. And he texts me and he's like, Mom, send me that link for my friends. I said, okay, let me tell you something. I didn't think about the fact that that was the episode you're on. And the conversation before that, I make a joke or two that's a little inappropriate for your friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're adult jokes. And your friends are going to listen because once you tell them, my mom's making some kind of adult joke, they're teenage boys. They're going to be like, we got to hear this.
Yeah, we got to hear
it. Thankfully, it was funny. But so then Zol's like, LOL. Okay. So then I'm like, I wonder if he shared it with his friends or not, So then I'm looking at our statistics.
Yeah.
And it breaks it down for us down to what city it is for the day. So I saw that we had like 6 downloads on Waxahachie like 2 weeks after we did the episode. And I mean, it pinpointed it to what I was like, that's gotta be, and it was that episode. And I was like, okay, that's definitely my son's friend.
Tuning in.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. So of course I was like, it wasn't the best week to tell them where to find the podcast at. But you know what?
What are you going to do?
I mean, I finally was just like, oh, well, it is what it is. But honestly, that's one of the reasons I like our podcast is because we're very open and we talk about everything. We actually, whether or not you believe it, we do censor ourselves.
Yeah, y'all have no idea. This is really.
We really do.
Usually before we start talking about what we're going to do, I'm like, nope, can't talk about that. Nope, can't say that.
So, sorry, but not sorry.
I mean, maybe in the future we'll charge for those conversations, but probably not.
We have been told that we could do like a Patreon kind of thing where we go into.
I don't know if I want that
about,
on record.
I really don't either.
Yeah, no. Anyway, so yeah. All right.
Well, okay. Well, anyway, it was still a really good time with the family. I'm glad I got to see them and everything. But that's really mostly of what my weekend consisted of, because that kind of thing just really takes it out of me socially.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really ever feel like doing anything more. If I have a funeral in a weekend, that's all I plan.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing anything else. I'm going to be completely drained. I'm not going to want to go do anything. So I really didn't. Dante took me shopping, though, because that's the one thing that you can do to distract me, obviously.
Yeah.
And so he spoiled me a little bit. He got me a brand new comfy, cozy house robe, which I needed, it was funny because I'm a sensory person.
Yes.
Very much so. I don't like being touched. And if I am touched, like certain fabrics and stuff bother me. And I don't like being wet. So whenever I get out of the shower, I have to immediately dry off really good, dry my hair because I don't like being wet. And the robes that I have are like the silk robes.
Yes.
I have 2 like house robes that are silk robes. Well, I don't like putting those on when I get out of the shower because they're silky.
It sticks
and
to
so
you.
it sticks to you. And it makes me so mad. But I don't like just walking around in a towel either.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to like get out and dry off and get dressed. Right. And like, I want something.
You need a cotton muumuu.
I wanted a robe that I could lounge around in, but that was more of the towel material. So that's what he got me is a big, long,
that's
comfy.
A terry cloth.
I was so happy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's been a minute since I've been so happy about a purchase. And then he also got me this little cooler. It's an electric cooler that holds like, cans, like a 6-pack of cans, that you can plug in at your house, and it also has an attachment that you can plug into your car and take it on the go. And I love it, and it's pink. It matches the robe. I'm like,
he's good at those cooler purchases.
I know, he really is.
Yeah,
he really is. And I had wanted it because I had mentioned it to him, but then I couldn't find it, and then he spotted it, and I was like, yay! So I
gave Rick a hard time the other day, and I was like, do not purchase any more coolers. Because we could build a fort out of our coolers. So the other day, he was like, no, some of these are yours. And I was like, you're right. Let me look. Okay, 3 out of the 12 of them are mine.
Oh, my God.
3 out of 12. Okay, and I own 2 small ones and 1 very large one. And I bought them before we lived together. So I had 3 for a family of my size. That is reasonable.
Yeah, that is.
1 was for like long weekend campings, girls' weekends. It's big. The other 2 are for like, one's light enough to carry to the lake, and 1 is heavier for the boat. That's all you need.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
It really is.
Yeah. Why we could put a whole family of bodies.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to take it there. But I'm glad you did.
Yeah. We could have all ages. I was like, damn, we could build a fort. So, yeah. What are you going to do? Our studio currently, y'all, just for the catching up, is in my bedroom. And my bedroom's large. It was a mother-in-law course. The people before us that lived here rented this out as an apartment. So it's great, except it's the only quiet part of the house. Except Rick lives downstairs. He lives in the garage. Yeah. And so right as we start to record, he rips on the blower in the garage. He's inside.
In the garage.
Directly below us, blowing inside the garage, knowing we're recording.
Very loud.
And then he's like, what? What's the problem? I'm like,
He just doesn't understand these microphones.
no, they pick up everything.
But really, I can hear your neighbors inside their house.
I can hear what you're
door.
thinking.
I know.
It's
Right? Stop it.
it's pretty good. Anything else on your catching up?
No, that's really all I had.
My catching up, I'll make as quick as I can because we got a lot to talk about. But basically, I started my period and almost bled out this weekend. That was my weekend.
That is horrible. I'm sorry.
But menopause conversation here. Sorry, guys, I don't want to hear this. And anyone else. Just if you have a hard time with period talk, you need to just like fast forward like
Hit that skip forward 30 seconds.
2 minutes, a
couple
minute and a
times.
half. Okay. All right. Are you gone now? Okay. So here's what happened. I hadn't had a period in a while, like in 6 weeks or so, because, I'm menopausal, so it comes and goes. So I know when it's later getting here, it's going to be horrible. I know it's going to be horrible. And I woke up Friday morning to horrible. And it put me in bed pretty much the weekend.
Wow.
But I'd already made plans. And so Saturday I had made plans, and the plans were my idea. Like one of them was I was going to go have lunch with Michelle and my coworker that I love, Michelle, and then Brandy and then Melindy. And we were going to go to Granbury because Brandy always comes to us. And so I was like, it's our turn to go to you, and I want to see your new house. You got this beautiful new house on Lake Granbury, and oh my God, she's redecorating it, but right now it's Golden Girls.
Oh,
It's awesome. I was like, I would leave it like this and kick JD out and move your friends in. It's on the lake,
It's a
too.
wonderful
You have
idea.
a boat. Like, this is way better.
she should go with that.
I agree. Anyway, she said that he might be upset about that. But
Wow.
anyway, so we go. So I'm like, I have to go to this because I made the plans.
Yeah.
And it's the one time we're going to her, and I don't want to be a dick,
Yeah.
But I'm like, I might bleed out, man. And I even warned the girls, we're on high alert, okay? I'll be in the bathroom the whole time. I am going to drive on a towel. I mean, I don't know what could happen. Anything can happen when it's that bad. So I'm like, okay. So I drive an hour and a half to Lake Granbury. I was fine. There was no leakage. But and we had a good time. But I had a purse full of pads because when it's that heavy, tampons, they can be a backup, but they're not going to be the showstopper. Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
So I've got like grandma pads, and TMI. 13-year-old Zeta never could have had this conversation, by the way. And I'll have it with fucking anyone. I don't care. And so I'm like, we go into like this restaurant thing, pad flies out of my purse, lands on the ground. These two girls that are like in their mid-20s, and we're like in the bar area going into like a restaurant thing. And these two girls are sitting there, and it's the middle of the day. It's Granbury downtown. It's like Waxahachie downtown. There's tons of people. It's great little ambiance. It's a cute little town. These two girls, ma'am, I think you dropped that pad. I think you dropped that pad. And Brandy's standing behind me. I was like, oh my God. I said, you don't have to whisper, girl. I don't care. I go to pick it up. Brandy's over there. I don't remember what she said, but she's like, oh, y'all just get used to it. We're just bleeding everywhere over here. Something like that. Like pads flying everywhere. And we're all laughing. And at that point, we all got riled up. And we're all for talking about pads and periods. We have the whole bar area laughing at us. And we're just walking through. We're leaving the place, actually, when it happens. So that was the first time the pad fell out.
Oh, the first time. Oh, okay, yeah, this is going to get interesting.
I dropped it again in front of people. I just leaned over and picked it up, and the girls were laughing, and I was just like, this is out of control. I can't keep my pads in my purse. They're flying everywhere.
You need a zip purse.
Yeah. So that was my Saturday, and I actually was supposed to leave there. Rick had gone out of town, so I was supposed to leave there, and then when I was done with that, I was going to Danny's house, and Danny was having a crawfish boil, and I usually try to go, but I haven't made it the last few years. So I was really trying to go to his crawfish boil. But it was just too bad at this point. I was like, I gotta go home. This was a workout, and I don't want to be in Danny's bathroom all day, and he lives out in the country. What if he has a septic system? Like, this is all problems for me. It was exhausting.
That sounds exhausting.
So that was my weekend. It's that's awesome. I know. This is what life looks like when you're older.
There's some better parts, but yeah,
Yeah, but we had a really good time, honestly. We had a really good little girl talk. Michelle just fits right in, and she had a great time. And that's really all my catching up I got.
All right. I have one more thing I want to plug in here. If you are a local in Waxahachie and you're not doing anything this Saturday, the Cops for Kids event is going on this weekend at Getzendaner. They do it every year where the cops have a whole bunch of vendors, and they have free food. Everything for the kids is free. They also give away bicycles. I think
We
they
need to
have-
give the date because some people listen to this way later.
Oh, sorry. So it's Saturday, and it is
The day before Mother's Day. What day is
so
it?
I think it's like the 11th. Let me make sure. Yes,
you're right.
it is Saturday the 11th, and it goes from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Getson Daner in Waxahachie. And they'll have, refreshments for the kids and food for the kids. They do raffles for to win bicycles. And I think they have some scooters. I'm going to be out there doing face painting for the kids. They'll have, I think they do like bounce houses and a bunch of different stuff for the kids. They have like all the little animals out there too to do a little petting zoo time. So come out if you have kids, or if you don't have kids, if you just like having fun, come
You
out.
want to stare at cops?
I really love it. It's a great event. I'll say,
Not as great as the fire station one, but whatever. No. Just kidding.
That's going on this weekend. So come out if you're local, or if you're not local, if you want to just have a little
Meet Kelly.
day out, you can come find me. I'm going to be face painting the kids, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds fun.
Exciting.
Hey, Zeta, you know what time it is?
What time is it, Kelly?
It's time to pop the top
On the
topic of the day.
Okay, so today's topic of the day, I don't know, this is man or bear. If you have been, if you pay attention to social media, you've probably seen something about this, particularly TikTok, but I've actually seen it mentioned on Facebook quite a bit. But there's an ongoing little TikTok trend where women are asking their husbands or men in their lives, would you rather be alone in a woods with a man or with a bear? And the men are always like, a man, a man. And you ask the women, and most of the women are like, oh, a bear. And then you ask the men, would you rather be alone? Would you rather your daughter be alone with her man or bear? And then typically the men are like, wait a minute. What kind of bear?
I actually got to think about this a little bit more.
So they start looking at it from a new perspective.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
And so I found it to be an interesting debate. Like I was thinking as I started seeing it, and I'd read the comments, and it was crazy to read the comments, how insightful they were, because even things I didn't think about as a woman that these women were saying. Yeah. So a lot of the comments were, well, if it was a bear and it attacked me, people would believe me. Or, I've never had a bear attack me, but I've been attacked by a man. Or I know the bear's intentions. I don't know a man's intentions.
Yeah.
Like there was just...
I could stay out of the bear's way.
I could stay, yeah. Most of them are not trying to attack you.
Yeah,
Is it a brown bear? Is it a,
Yeah.
And so that's what started down this rabbit hole. And so I was thinking about that, and I was reading the comments, and I'd see people, and the men were like, "This is stupid. A bear could attack," and they're trying to mansplain it, not getting why it's different, and why we have that in our head. Mm-hmm. So on that note, so that's what I was thinking originally. So I saw this one woman that had posted, and she posted asking her husband that question. And first she asked him if what he would do, and what he would prefer. And he was like, oh, a man. And then she was like, okay, what if it was our daughters? Because they have girls. And he was like, oh, do we know the man? What kind of bear is it? And starts going into the questions. And so then I read the comments and everything, and then she had a bunch of commenters going, "Hey, tell them about other stuff. Make this a series." And I should have written down this lady's name. You have it because I sent it to you.
I'll pull it up while you're talking.
She needs credit for this. And so they're like telling about other things. And so in the comments, they're like, "Yeah, tell them about pockets." Tell them about this. And it's all these other things that are difference between men and women and how you think. So that got my brain working. Mm-hmm. So over the last few days, I've been thinking about these things and thinking about, how it affects us differently and such. And in the process of thinking about it, I've been making notes so that we could discuss it, right? And then I get to downtown Waxahachie yesterday, and downtown Waxahachie is very safe. I want to put that out there. I always feel safe in downtown Waxahachie.
Yeah.
I can't think of one time I have ever felt unsafe. There's been incidents or two I've known about, which makes me feel a little bit unsafe, but I know that's a one-off. It is a safe environment. And so I get there yesterday, and I'm going to record with Al. And I get there a few minutes early, and I'm going to call Rick and let Rick know where I am, and then I need to return a text to a friend of mine. And I was there a little bit early, so I was like, I'll just wait in my truck until it's time to record. And so I'm parked in a pretty much private parking lot. Like, it's not private as in no one can walk in it, but it's meant for people that own the buildings right there. And I get to park there because I basically told one of the owners of the buildings that I'm now an employee and I park there, and he's okay with it. And so that's where I'm parked. So my truck is facing a brick wall, and this guy comes from around the corner. And I'm only going to tell you that he's a black gentleman because it has to do with my reaction. And it's a black gentleman that comes around the corner, and he's carrying like a basket. And I don't know what's in the basket, but I have seen it enough to know that he is about to try to sell me something. And I'm going to assume it's that fresh bread that's wrapped in saran wrap that they'll try to sell you to raise money for like a rehabilitation center, a drug rehab, or, homeless people trying to get on their feet, whatever the case is. And I occasionally see that in downtown Waxahachie, and they don't make me feel unsafe. But it's typically when I'm in a setting where I feel safe. But when I'm in my truck and I'm inside my truck, I don't want you approaching me. And so the guy, and I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
But particularly a man. But I don't care if you're a woman. It's weird to me. And so he comes around the corner, and I see him, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to roll my window down for this stranger, But I don't want to be rude to him. And I'm also thinking to myself, I don't want him to think that I'm looking at him as a black man. I'm not. I'm looking at him as a man. And I don't want a man approaching my truck that I'm in alone in a parking lot where no one else is. And am I supposed to roll my window down? Does he think I'm going to give him cash through my window? Like, this is, to me, very unsafe, no matter what you look like, but particularly that you're a man.
Yeah.
But in my head, as women, we are taught to be polite and to be nice. And so I immediately think, I don't want him thinking it's because he's black. Like, that's what was in my head, And so I'm like, politely wave. And by now he's got a friend. So the friend made it around the corner. So he is heading in front of my truck. I'm like the fourth spot down. So he had a minute to walk before he got to me. And the whole time I'm waving my hand like I'm waving it like people can see me right now.
Just go along.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly.
No, thank you.
And I'm trying to make it look friendly. And I'm like, and I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And like kind of half smiling, like, no, thank you. No, just don't approach me, but it's okay. Trying to make it as friendly as possible so he won't feel offended. He won't feel embarrassed, and I don't have to deal with it. And so, but he just keeps coming and coming and coming. And so the whole time, and so now I'm getting less and less friendly looking and kind of like, seriously, do not come towards me.
Do you not see that I'm waving you away?
Yes. And it's real obvious.
I'm not waving you down.
And I'm also shaking my head no.
Yeah.
Like, do not come over
Trying to do
here.
all I can.
Yeah. And so he just keeps coming. And so eventually he is now next to my, like literally 8 inches from my face on the side of my car.
Yeah.
And now his buddy is on the other side of my truck in the same spot on the passenger side.
They got you cornered.
I could back up, whatever, but still, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So now I'm not as nice, and I'm like, please go away. Please go away. I'm not buying anything from you. Please go. Well, we're just trying to sell. And I was like, I don't care what you're doing. And now I realize he's trying to sell popcorn. I was like, I don't care what you're doing. I do not want it. Please go away. And he won't go. I said, sir, please step away from my truck. He will not step away from my truck. And he just keeps saying to me, but I'm just trying to. This is literally mansplaining. I do not give a shit. If you had baby Jesus himself in that bag, I would not open this window. I'd pray for him. But no.
You're going to take that baby somewhere else.
Right. I mean, like, seriously. Like, no. I don't. I've been polite. I've been nice. But now, no. And he won't stop. And I'm like, sir, please step away. Step away from my truck. Step away from my truck. He will not step away from my truck.
I cannot stand when people do not take no for an answer.
Exactly. No means no.
It is a full sentence. It is a full explanation.
Right.
That no is all you have to say.
And I don't even know you. I don't know you from Adam. I don't know. All I know is I now have 2 men I do not know on either side of my truck.
Yeah.
In a very uncomfortably close way.
And that's even more weird that the other person's on the other side when there's nobody on that side of your vehicle.
Right.
You're just blocking the other exit.
Yes.
That does not look good
No.
for you.
So at this point, I have my hand on my gun.
Yeah. Oh, well, good.
I'm like, is this what we're about to have to do?
We're about to have a showdown.
Right. And so I'm like, step away from my truck. Step away. And he just keeps interrupting. Ma'am, I'm trying to. So finally, I crack my window barely. I got my hand on my gun, though. You can't see the gun, but I got my hand on it. But I crack my window just enough so that I can make sure he hears me. And I'm not going to yell because I'm recording. But I raised my voice at him, and I said, step away from my vehicle. Get away from me. And he was like, ma'am, I'm just trying. I said, I know. I don't care. I don't care what you're doing. All I care is you're trying to get near me. Get away from me. I was like, this is my vehicle. This is my safe spot. And you are too close to me. And I told you to go away. Well, I'm just trying. I said, I don't care what you're trying to do. If your daughter was in this truck, would you want her to open the door or window for some stranger, especially after she told them to go away? Well, my daughter is a good Christian girl and would want to help.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm fucking not.
I ain't no good Christian girl.
I was like, it took every inch of me not to put my fucking gun in his face. I was just like, get away from me. Going on. Hindsight is 2020. And I went off on him.
Yeah.
But hindsight's 2020. I should have put my hand on that fucking horn. I should have just not let up till he was gone. Mm-hmm. That's what I should have done. Or just immediately backed out.
Yeah.
But here was my next thing is once he finally does go away is I'm afraid to get out of my vehicle.
Yeah, you don't know where they're at.
I don't know where they're at. I don't know if they went around the other cars and hid. I don't know. I can't see if they're around the corner of the building. I'm by myself in the parking lot. So instead of me leaving, I pull out. By now, Rick has called me back because I was trying to call Rick when they approached me. So now Rick has called me back, and it all had just happened. I hadn't even left the spot yet. And I'm like, oh, my God, and I'm not getting out now, and I don't know what to do. I guess I'm just going to drive around and see if I can see where they are. So that's what I did. I went around the block, saw where they were. By then, they're a safe distance from where I was parked. I went and parked somewhere else. And then I get out, and I go up there. And as I go up there, I see two of my friends that are on the patio at ours. And so I see them and I'm start talking to them and they're females. And I tell them what happened. And one of them is like, that just happened to me. He did it to me too. Only I was walking because they live in an apartment above one of the buildings down there. So they had walked over to Al's. And so she was like, and I told him I don't buy it because I buy from my friend who sells it for his church. And he was like, oh yeah, what friend sells popcorn for their church? And he was like, she was standing in front of Al. She was like, well, Al does, actually. And he goes, oh, you had me for a minute. You're just a liar. You're just a liar.
Oh my gosh. Do they really think that they're doing good out there?
And he did that right after, like that was his next victim. He did that right after me.
Oh my gosh, I cannot see. And that's what
He's not a safe person.
No, and that's why I definitely would have been taking pictures of both of them and then going straight to the sheriff's office.
Well, hindsight, it's one of those things really when you're in the moment, you're just like,
you're just trying to.
I honestly was like, Zeta, you don't want to go to prison. Don't shoot him. Don't shoot him.
I'm glad at least you didn't.
Because that's what I was thinking.
I know.
I might have to shoot him. And it's going to fuck up my truck.
Oh my
No, I'm kidding.
That's
not what my concern was.
Those are the kind of people that we need to get off the street. Because I know that there's a lot of people who do that, and there's nothing wrong with trying to sell and do fundraise or whatever.
But there is something wrong with how you do it. And that's my other pet peeve is like another time we were in Campazano's in downtown, and someone came in. Were you with us when we bought the bread? I didn't buy the bread. But when Claudia bought the bread? Mm-mm. Okay, so it was Melindy, Claudia, me, and I can't remember, Brandy. Maybe that's who it was. And this guy came in selling that little homemade bread, and she bought 2 loaves. I said, and as soon as he walked away, I said, why would you buy that from him? And she was like, what? To help them. I said, you don't know if that's a legit organization. Yeah. You don't know where that was baked, but you also don't know if he's really has anything to do with an organization. But I do know that Campazano's pays for this rent and they don't need to be in harassing their customers. This is a nice restaurant. Mm-hmm. If someone came into me every time I was in there harassing me, I wouldn't go back.
Yeah.
Like that's not good for their business. No. That's not cool. And the Campazano's did kick them out shortly thereafter. That's good. But that's, so there's your problem. And if, you don't approach women by themselves, you just don't do it.
Especially if they tell you no. Right. If they have given you every opportunity to say no, thank you.
Yeah.
You need to be walking away.
Yeah.
You need to be
get away from me.
respecting that.
Get away from me. And I will say that was 4 years ago that she bought that bread. It is sitting in my closet still in saran wrap, and it looks exactly the same.
It's a brick. Though.
It's a brick, but it never grew mold.
Oh no, that's crazy.
How does bread from homemade bread in saran wrap never grow mold? This isn't McDonald's food. I don't know. I thought that was weird. Anyways, so
let me
the
give
reason
this-
I still have the bread, y'all, is every time for a few years, every time someone told a really funny story, they got to be the keeper of the bread until the next story. And apparently I've been kicking ass. No, I'm kidding. We just forgot about it. Now it's just stuck
you
in my
need
closet.
to give it to somebody else.
I need to bring it back. Yeah. Okay.
So giving props to that creator on TikTok. It was Alexa, and I can't say the last part. I guess it's Hey Siri, like Alexa, ALEXAHEISIRI. That is the at of the person.
Maybe it's like Alexa, like when you talk to your Alexa or you talk to
Alexa, hey Siri. My Alexa's trying to talk to me now because I keep saying
Yeah. That's what it is. It's
I'm
a
not
play.
talking to you.
It's a play on Alexa and Siri.
Yeah.
So that's clever. I suggest you follow her because her whole little series with her husband is great, and her husband's awesome. By the way.
that sounds like it would be very interesting.
Yeah,
to
it's a good little
listen
one.
to.
So on that note, I told Kelly that I thought this would be a good conversation, and then we started talking about all the different things between men and women and the things that happen to them. And so Kelly had a good point and said there's a few things that we could bring up about statistics and stuff.
Yeah, so I have some violence against women statistics, and then also some safety tips that we can go into after we talk about it a little bit more. But some of these I just want to throw out to you are hundreds of millions of women have experienced violence. 1 in 3 women have experienced physical and sexual violence in their lifetime. So that's 1 in 3. 736 million women on average who are age 15 years or older have experienced one or both of these forms of violence. Across their lifetime, 1 in 3 women experience a form of violence in their life. An average more than 3 women a day are murdered by their husbands or boyfriends in the United States. So in the United States, on average, 3 women a day by their husbands or boyfriend. So that's not even
Strangers.
That's not even taking into account the number that are killed by strangers. That's just by the people that they know. 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted in college. A woman who has suffered strangulation incident is 750% more likely to be killed by the same perpetrator. 4 out of every 5 stalking victims are women. So those are just some of the statistics that centered around women and what
Violence
they
within
what they
women.
have to deal with.
Yeah.
And we don't really think about, some things you don't think about until it's brought to the light, until it's brought it up to you, and you're like, oh man, that's a really good point. That's why I like talking about it, and that's why I like when people bring up conversations. It can be hard to talk about, but it's good to inform. And it's good to inform others. And a lot of times men do not think about safety concerns as much as women do. They don't see it from our point of view because they don't realize how safe and how the depth that we have to put into thinking about what we're doing, what we're wearing, what we're saying, to keep
where we
ourselves
are, what
safe.
time of day it is.
And should we have to? No. But the fact of the matter is, we do have to.
Right.
So it's not a perfect world.
Right.
So we have to think about these things. We have to be concerned about our safety and the safety of other women. And so one of the things that I was thinking about is how women always have to worry about their safety. When it comes to men, that tapers down at a certain age. So when young children across the board, you have to be concerned about their safety, because boys and girls are both victimized and they're both
At risk.
targeted.
Yes.
So boys and girls, it doesn't matter at that age. And then once you get to a certain age, even up to teenage years, boys and girls across the board are targeted and they are at risk. But it starts to taper off for men once they get into adulthood. They are less likely to be assaulted. They're less likely to be victimized by crime or anything like that. It still happens, but it at least tapers off for them. For women, it does not taper off.
No.
It doesn't matter as when you're a teenager, when you're a young adult, when you get to be a mother, you're targeted because you have young children, and now you have young children's safety that you have to worry about, and even into an older age,
how many times? So you heard on the news? Well, maybe not you because you don't watch the news, but about 95-year-old women being raped and murdered in their home by like an 18-year-old kid that broke in and did it to them. Like it's crazy. I'm like, they're 95 and still not safe.
That's what I'm saying. It never tapers off for women.
Yeah,
and that's crazy, but it is the reality of the world that we live in.
It really is.
And you can think, oh, it's not going to happen to me. But that's just not good thinking. You shouldn't think that way, because it only takes one time that you're not being aware of your situation that you're in.
Even if you are.
Yes, even if you are. But it can take one minute, 1 second, one slip up, one wrong move, one time that you're not being aware.
To change your entire life or end it.
Yeah. And then obviously I hate when things do happen to women. But once something does happen to you that changes your life like that, then you realize how at risk you are, and everything that you have to worry about, it's kind of brought to light.
Right.
So a simple stroll and walk through the park is not as simple as
a stroll and a walk through the park
as it should be.
Right. You don't want to walk alone.
I know. I definitely do. I love going out for walks. It's one of my favorite things to do, is just to be outside. And it's one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself, is to go outside and walk around. But when you're a woman, you can't do that.
Right.
I mean, you can, but you assume a risk if you do that by yourself.
And it was funny because on that series she did, I didn't watch all of the series, but one of the ones I watched a few to make sure I was like not going to suggest something. I didn't want to take her ideas, so I didn't want to watch all of them. But I wanted to watch to make sure I wasn't like suggesting someone follow somebody that it just had one good video. I wanted to see what it was. So I watched, I think, 2 other ones. And one of them was where she said to him, to her husband, she goes, okay, running, when you lived wherever he used to live and you used to go running, what time would you run? And he was like 11 o'clock at night. And she goes, why would you run at 11 o'clock at night? And he was like, because that's when it cooled down. And because I'm not a morning person, I'm a night person. So that was like my end of the day. That's what my end of the day is. She was like, could I run at 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah. Would you be okay with that?
And he was like, no.
Absolutely not.
And then, would you want your daughter to run? No. And she was like, did you wear a headset on both ears? She was like, yeah. She was like, can I run with a headset on both ears in the daytime? He was like, no.
No, because you have to make sure that you can hear what's going on.
You have to be aware of everything. Yes. And he hadn't even thought about it, which is understandable. But he instantly knew the answer.
Yeah.
Once he realized the real question. It's not, can I wear a headset? It's like, can I wear a headset?
Can I?
And, think about it a little deeper, And so I thought that was pretty profound, because I was like, we know the answer to that instantly. We know that. Mm-hmm. So here's part of the issue with that. Let's say you can't run at 11 and he can run at 11. And so you got to run in the morning. You got to run when you can run in the middle of the heat of the day, basically, or in a group. Or you can run in the morning if you don't work, because you can't run in the morning before the sun's up. Mm-hmm. And you can't run in the morning even if the sun's up, if it's too early that other people won't be outside.
Yeah. And you can't run in the morning every single day, because you do not want to have a pattern that somebody could follow.
And you can't take the same route for the same reason.
Yep.
And these are all things that men...
You don't think about.
You don't even think about.
And a lot of times women don't even think about
it,
because they have not gotten to the point where it's been put in their mind that they have to think about these things.
Right.
And I hate that you have to think about them. But
you do.
You have to think about them.
You really do.
I'm listening to a book right now, and it's like a murder mystery. It's by Nora Roberts, and it is The Search. And she does she's my favorite my author. But it is about a serial killer who abducts women when they're off jogging by themselves.
Right.
And he tasers them, and he puts them in the trunk, and then he goes and kills them and buries them in the woods. And it's just that simple. He goes jogging. When he watches them, he sees their pattern, where they go jogging, and he jogs by them and acts like he's tripping or falling. And women, as we do, of course, when we're like, oh, are you okay?
Just like me being worried that I was going to hurt that guy's feelings.
And in that second, he tasers them and takes them off. And one of the things
And
on
that's
there.
real life. That's happened to how
It
many
really
women?
is. These are written. It's obviously fiction, but it's fiction based on
Events.
Events. That
I
actually happened.
I can't think of the girl's name, but there was a big case about 3 years ago where a girl was jogging in I'm talking like in Illinois, in the middle of like Kansas and out in the country. Like they lived on a farm.
Yeah.
And a guy scooped her up and killed her.
And and then in the book, another he had already taken like 3 or 4 women, and then it was talking from the perspective of his next victim that just got taken. And she was going over the fact that her father had told her, she was in college, so of course she wasn't living at the house, but he had warned her, hey, don't be going out and running. I know you like to run. Don't run by yourself.
But as women, we're like, I'm independent.
Yes, but she didn't. And so she was thinking back, and she was like, why did I do this? I didn't think it would be me. Why did I do that? And of course, I'm thinking, you stupid. Why did you do that? But of course, I mean, you don't want to blame the victim because it's really not the victim's fault that the person did that to them. However, you need to be aware of what can happen. And you don't need to think, oh, it's never going to be me. It's not going to be, it won't be me. It could be.
It could very easily.
The statistics are against you.
Yes, and I know when I was young, a teenager and young adult, I know I put myself many times in situations where I could have been very unsafe.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not even going to tell you one or two that I instantly one pops in my head where I'm like, that was so fucking stupid. I would kick my kid's ass. And my mom, it was the 90s. My mom didn't know the hell I was. Yeah. She never knew. I didn't even come home that night and didn't even know it. I was out frolicking around doing all kinds of stupid shit, and all stuff I knew was dangerous and stupid, but we think it won't be us. It won't be us. Yeah. So whenever I was like listening, thinking about all the different things, one of the things that popped in my head is obviously clothes. Men, and that was one of the conversations they had was like, think about how much of your brain would be freed up and you can concentrate on work and you can concentrate on your hobbies and your kids and your house and your finances and all these other things you can concentrate on if you didn't also have to concentrate on what am I wearing to not be attacked? What am I wearing to not be just verbally attacked? What am I wearing to work today so people don't think I'm trying to get this attention or, what am I wearing to church today so I don't look inappropriate? What am I wearing to my kids' school so that other parents don't think negative of me? What am I wearing? Every one of those has to do with how it makes other people in the room feel and not you. That's how much you have to think just about what you're wearing. And I'm not even talking about your titties hanging out. I'm talking down to your shoes. You can be a woman in all black, button-up shirt, no cleavage, pants that fit but aren't skin tight, but you put on a pair of heels and you are now a whore. You put on red lipstick and what the hell's she doing at a children's event with heels and lipstick on and looking like that?
You really can't.
And other women are doing it to you too.
Oh yeah. There's no safe zone.
There isn't one. And it's just insane because we do it to each other, even if it's not, I'm going to attack her physically. It might be, I'm going to attack her verbally. Men do not have to think about that. They do. Rick is mowing the yard right now, y'all, in his too big, hanging off his ass, basketball shorts, a sweaty t-shirt, and his boots, his cowboy boots.
Isn't it a button-up t-shirt too?
Oh yeah, you're right. It's a button. He has a pearl snap. I take it back. It's not a t-shirt. Not a t-shirt. Pearl snap.
Oh, pearl snap shirt, basketball shorts, and boots.
He really is.
He's a picture, y'all. He's a picture.
But you know what? He is not worried about one person thinking about what he's wearing.
Absolute zero fucks.
No, not at all. Not at all. And bless his heart. But that's the difference. Meanwhile, I go outside and we hang out in the garage all the time. And his truck is parked in front of the garage, but we're in the middle of town here, And I'll go out there, and if it's a time of day where we're going to have more traffic, even though we're hidden, we're in our garage. I'm like, oh, I better put a robe on.
Yeah, because you're taught to cover up.
Yeah, in my own home, literally.
My own home.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and I just and so that's one of the things is just even how much energy you get to free up in your head when you don't have to worry about all these things. I know. The other thing that came up was scratching. That you teach your girls and other women that if someone does attack you, you scratch, you bite, you pull hair, you get all the DNA you can on you.
DNA.
And so that's another one that men don't even think about. They don't even,
Because
they don't have to worry about
that's
it.
not only so that they can hopefully identify who assaulted you, but it's also proof that you even were assaulted. Because that will be a question as well.
Yeah, just like the bear. If a
Yeah.
bear attacks you, they're going to believe a bear attacked you.
Yeah, you're going to have, yeah.
Right.
But if you say the man did and the man says he didn't,
Right.
who's to say what actually happened?
Yeah. And, when all this happened, I saw a bunch of angry posts where men just didn't understand it. And they're like, this is stupid. Like, mansplaining it to women. And in the conversation of that, this one guy goes on and like, the original one that people were talking about, he I don't know what you call it when you you show it and then you do your part of it. I don't know what you call that. Stitching it. Okay. So I don't know that because I'm TikTok
Look at me.
obsessed.
I knew
know. So this guy stitched it and he was like, my mom was actually attacked by a bear and she wrote a book about it. Here's the book. And he got massacred because they're like, that's so great that she lived to write a book. Awesome.
We love that for
So
her.
the bear didn't kill her? He didn't rape her? Oh, and she wrote the book and people believed her.
Yeah.
What was she wearing in the woods?
Did she provoke that bear?
Yeah. Well,
She was asking for
yeah.
it.
Are you sure? Are you sure it really happened? Maybe she just wrote a book about it. Maybe she's just trying to get some money off a book. Like they started treating him,
How, yeah.
Right. So then after all of that, he came back and he was like, I was wrong. I was wrong. And you know what's crazier? His mom came out and said, yeah, I would pick a bear again.
Wow.
I walked away.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's very telling right there.
Like, yeah.
I would go right back in with that bear.
Yeah. And so I just thought, interesting. You know what I mean? And I watched a video the other day, literally on TikTok. And it wasn't even like, no, it wasn't even on TikTok. It was on Reddit. And it wasn't even like about the man or the woman versus bear. It was literally a video of a bear attacking a guy in the woods. And he had a little stick. That's all he had is a little stick. And he was able to poke that stick and that damn bear ran away.
Wow.
If it had been a man,
Yeah, it's not going to get you far.
I don't feel like that would have worked.
Get out the aim for the eye.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying all men. Obviously, I don't think that. No. The other thing that I found that was interesting was pockets. And
Well, I love how we're just going to segue to pockets here.
so, again, and this was the video that got me watching their other videos.
Yeah.
Okay. This is one that started. They had already recorded the other ones previously, but that's when I found it and started watching them. And this is the deal. And so one of the comments in the original one was someone said, wait till you tell them about pockets. And so on the video, he's reading comments and he goes, what pockets? What about pockets? She was like, well, they're fake. We don't usually get real pockets. That's why we get so excited because as women, we don't get pockets. And he goes, well, you got purses, or I don't remember exactly what he said. You got purse, whatever. She's like, no. We have fake pockets. They go through the trouble of making pockets, but then they sew them shut so we can't use them. And there's no pockets. And do you know why we don't have pockets? He was like, no, why don't you have pockets? Because in the big, years ago, women weren't allowed to own anything. They had no possessions. Mm-hmm. They had no money. Everything belonged to the husband.
You didn't have money or cards or anything to even put in your pocket.
You couldn't even open a banking account on your own or get a house loan on your own as a woman until the mid-70s.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was alive
when that happened.
Wow. Okay. So why would you need a pocket when you're not allowed to own anything? Wonder why marriages used to last longer.
Right.
We weren't allowed to own anything.
Yeah, you couldn't make it on your
How
own.
do you leave an abusive situation if you can't take anything with you and you have children? And, and like that's the reality of the situation. Well, here's the other part of pockets is that pockets in some countries throughout the point of history have been outlawed for women. Yeah. Outlawed. They put it on the books that you can't have pockets.
Because they didn't want you sticking anything in them.
They didn't want you hiding things in them. They made laws about it. In more than one country, that women could not have pockets on them.
I heard in that they were considered like witches because they would hide stuff and hide potions and hide stuff. So they were associated with witches and witch hunts.
Yes.
If they had pockets.
Yeah. We wouldn't want you to hide, I don't know, your pads.
Or if they were like rebels and they would hide information. And they didn't want women to be able to have places to hide things.
Right.
Because we couldn't be trusted. And you know what's so funny about that is because, whenever you're in a bad relationship, or like if there's a cheater in a relationship, they always think that their significant other is cheating because they're the cheater.
Right.
So that just goes to show
exactly
men could not be trusted because they knew what they were hiding and they knew what they were doing. So they're like, we can't let women have pockets because they're going to be doing all these horrible things.
All these things that we want to do. Yes. Yes, the call is coming from inside the house.
What a clever oppression. You know what I mean? I have to give it to men. They really think of everything.
I was just like, what the hell? So another one that they had brought up was pads. Okay, they were talking about pads, and she was like, some pads have wings. He was like, what does that mean? Wing? Like they were talking about the colors, what they mean. Why are they different colors? Because so he was mind blown by that. But then he was like, why do some have wings and why do some not? Like what's different? So she explains to him what wings are, and then he was like, yeah, but they're like sticky. So why do you need the wings? They're gonna stick on you anyways, right? Like they're gonna stick in your panties. She was like, well, if it doesn't have the wings, it like bunches up. The next thing you know, you got a bunch of crap going up your vagina and it's supposed to be laying flat and then you leak. So that's why you want wings. He was like, then why don't all pads have wings? She was like, because they're more expensive. They're like, so that little piece of plastic, that little bit is going to break the bank that they had to increase it that much. She was like, yeah, it's like $2 more to get the one with wings. And he was like, it didn't cost $2 more to make. No, they're taking advantage of women. It's called the pink tax.
Yep.
Anytime anything's made in pink, it's more expensive. There's legally a term for it, the pink tax.
Yep.
Women's deodorant, more expensive than men. Women's soap that's like specialty, more it doesn't, if it's got pink on it, it's more expensive.
So true.
And so this guy's he was like, so women all need pads with wings, but they sell them without wings just so they can sell the one with wings for more money?
Yes.
But those are the ones you need? Yes. And guess what else? What? They're taxed.
Yep.
They're taxed.
Yep.
I went through $20 worth of sanitary napkins in 2 days this weekend. $20. What if I was on a fixed income? I can tell you, single mom me at one point, that would have been a problem. That would have been grocery money.
A whole expense
that would have meant we are eating ramen for dinner 2 nights. And that is insane. That is absolutely insane. And so man versus bear is not really about man versus bear. It's not. We're not worried about the bear.
Yep, so true.
We have a fighting shot with the bear. He's not taxing us extra. He's not charging us extra. He's not stalking us. He's not, just threatening us. He's not doing all these manipulative things. He's just a bear in the woods.
Right.
There is a chance he's going to kill you, but a slim one. Yeah. And everyone's going to know what happened to you. A bear killed you. Yeah. He's not going to bury your body. Mm-hmm. He's not going to hide it so he can get another victim. He's just going to move on after he eats you. You knew his intention.
Yep.
And you get the idea. But I just thought it was profound. And then to see the men's responses was crazy to me because some of them got very angry about it.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so this one guy on Facebook was ranting and raving about it. And it was someone I knew. And he was ranting and raving about how stupid it was and da-da-da-da. And then in the conversation, somebody else brought up, you have to understand these men. On another thing, I'll never understand these women not leaving their men when they are being abusive to them. They're stupid for not leaving them. That's when they get murdered. When they leave them, when they get murdered.
Yep.
And that's the comment I made. They leave them when they have been murdered. That's what happens. They get killed. Well, they got to leave. That's stupid. They're teaching their children, da-da-da-da-da. And he just would not let it off. He would not let off of it. And finally, I was like, I'm going to give you an example here. And I just posted a link to my friend's obituary. I was like, she left him. He shot her in the dining room as they signed their divorce papers. She's dead. He's dead. Shot himself too. Their son, still alive. He was in the next room. He was 6. She left him.
Yep.
Should we follow your mansplaining advice and just leave him?
Yeah.
And go where?
Just leaving that doesn't make you safe.
Yeah. You know,
If anything, it puts you more at risk.
it does put you more at risk. So there's just so much more to it,
There
you
really
know?
is.
So I just thought it was in general, a good conversation. I mean, not a good, because you don't, it's, you know,
it's
it
an
sucks
important.
ass.
It's an important conversation.
It's an important conversation. And it's an important conversation to have with your daughters, but also your sons.
Yes.
Because your sons need to understand how they make women feel. They need to understand how women should feel. They need to know that they have a daughter. They need to teach her how to protect their wife, how to protect their daughters, how to protect themselves too. Things can happen to them too.
Oh, yes.
But, you know, I just found it's conversations you have to have.
Yep. That's hard conversation.
It is hard conversations. And, you know, I think that people making light of the situation, I get it. It seems silly, but it's not. Mm-hmm. You are safer with the pair. Now, not all men are bad. Most men are not bad.
Yeah. But if you have no idea who the man is or what his intentions are, you're going to choose the bear.
Right. And when men are like, I don't know any women that have been raped. No. You do. You're just not safe. They can't tell you.
Yeah. You haven't been told.
If you don't have a single woman in your life ever telling you they have been sexually assaulted, you're the problem.
Yeah. Because statistics say if you are in a room with more than 3 or at least 3, at least one of them have been.
Right. I honestly,
if not 2, if not all 3.
I mean, honestly, I'd be hard pressed to find a friend that hasn't been.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
That has been sexually assaulted, physically assaulted, in some way assaulted by a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting their hands on them.
I don't think I do have a single friend that hasn't been in some way.
I don't know if I do either.
I would have to sit here and really think about it for a while.
Right. Yeah, I would too. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And you know how many are unreported.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
That's what I'm saying. If I even did think about a friend who hasn't told me, it's probably just because she hasn't told me yet.
Exactly. You know, or they have it in the back of their head and they're keeping it from themselves. And that happens as well.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through a couple of safety tips. Now, this doesn't cover everything, but I like to do something since we've been talking about women's safety and problems to just some of the things you might know already, but just going to throw them out there. So the number one is obviously have a plan when you're going out, whether it be alone or with a group of friends. It's best to have a plan and a place. Knowing your surroundings, such as who and what is in the immediate area, is one of the most crucial safety tips and reminders. Making a habit to pay attention to what is going on around you will help you to become more aware of your environment. In addition, as an extra level of protection or precaution, let someone outside of your group know your whereabouts and what you have planned for the evening. So if you're going out, make sure somebody knows where you're going. It's somebody that's not going with you. Okay, so somebody, it can be your mom or your dad or your friend.
Don't be going back to damn people's houses you meet on dating sites.
Yeah, don't do it. Okay?
Don't you drive yourself to dinner, all of the above.
Yes. Okay, number 2 is ping your location. Sorry. Smartphones are not only a great tool for taking photos, sending messages, and sharing news, but they can also be lifesavers. Most smartphones have a great emergency feature that allows using to ping your location to anyone in their contact list. This feature is easy to set up and will draw attention to users should they find themselves in an unsafe situation. So if you have a smartphone and you're able to share your location, if you're going out, if you're going to go for a jog, or if you're going on a date, a blind date, share your location with somebody so that they know they can check on your phone, because you can share it for a certain amount of time, like an hour or until you decide to take it off, so that they can look and go and see that you're still where you're supposed to be, and not off somewhere in the middle of the woods.
Yeah. Okay? I will say I used to have a friend that she would take, when she would go on like first dates with people, she would ask them at the front up at the restaurant, I need a picture of your ID. Let me see your ID. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I'm sending this to my best friend. And she would send it to her best friend and where she was. This is before pinging.
Yeah.
But she could take pictures and send them. And she was like, I just always like someone to know who I'm with.
Yeah.
And
very safe.
And
if they aren't,
she had been attacked before. And that was how she found, smart. And you know what? If they don't want to show you their ID and you take a picture to send to your best friend or your mom, then not a safe person.
Be like, peace out, player.
Yeah, time to go.
Okay, number 3, Tools for protection. When it comes to selecting a self-defense device, it's important to choose one you feel most comfortable carrying. Items such as pepper spray, a safety whistle, and a mini flashlight are great options to have on hand when going out. Me personally, I usually carry a knife with me because I
carry a gun.
I like to be, okay, and that's what I'm saying. It has to be something that you feel comfortable with doing.
Right.
So a gun is not for everybody. A knife is not for
And
everybody.
a gun is useless if you don't know how to use
That's
it
very
and
true.
you don't practice using it.
Yeah.
And so you do need to be able to carry something that you can
But
use
I would
efficiently.
say have something.
Yeah.
Have something. Don't just go out empty-handed. If you don't have your phone with you, you need to have pepper spray. You need to have a rape whistle.
Bear spray.
You need to have some kind of bear spray, whatever it is, something that you can use it as a defense. I had this conversation with Dante when we were talking about his daughter having something. And I was like, does she not have a pocket knife or pepper spray? And she didn't. And I was like, well, you need to get something because she walks around town. She goes to her friend's house. I was like, you don't think you have to worry about it. And I hope you never do, but you need to have it.
Right.
So it's very important. Okay. Create boundaries. Create boundaries, regardless if you are out alone or with a group of friends. If you feel uncomfortable or unsafe with someone's attention towards you, do not be afraid to put distance between yourself and the individual. There's nothing rude about protecting yourself in a potential unsafe situation. At the end of the day, always remember to follow your instinct.
Yes.
Instinct. Okay? If you feel unsafe, if you have a little inkling, if you have a little tickle, if your hairs start to rise, whatever it is that is your instinct, you need to follow it because you can probably feel ridiculous, but you would rather feel ridiculous than end up being hurt.
Right.
Okay? So you might think that you're overreacting. You might be like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. It doesn't matter. If you have an instinct, that's the reason that we have them.
Right.
And you need to follow that. Do not feel like don't feel obligated to be kind or not be rude or I don't want to be, no.
But also, I have to say, safety comes in numbers. And sometimes your instincts you have to use to save your friend too.
Yes.
You don't leave a friend.
No, you don't.
You don't leave a friend. You don't assume they left
And
without you.
you don't let a friend leave you.
Yeah.
If it's this friend
Nope.
was like,
And
I'm
nope.
going off with this person.
No,
No,
you're not. We rode together, and you make that agreement before you go out. And y'all, this is really our listeners are our age and older, and most of y'all already know this. But this is something you tell your daughters and your sons, boys too, is you make an agreement before you leave for the night. We all go together, we come home together.
Yep.
And point blank, that's how this works. We go together, we come home together. There's no ifs, and I don't care how drunk you get, and that boy is cute.
Nope.
We're coming home
I don't care
together.
if you know that person either.
Right.
No.
And
You
I
rode
feel
with
like
me.
as mothers, particularly, there are things I have had to tell my daughters and my sons that I don't necessarily want to tell them have happened to me because I want them to know it can happen to you. It happened to me.
Yeah.
And they see me as a badass. So that's saying something, And so, honesty is important because they need to know it really can happen to them.
Being transparent.
Being transparent. There is no shame.
There really isn't, especially if it could help somebody else.
And for years, people covered it in shame, and that's what hid it.
Yep.
And, because it's shameful and it's the girl's fault, and we're blaming the girl or we're blaming the victim. It might always not be a girl, but we're always blaming the victim. So then the victim's ashamed and they hide it. And then it keeps happening.
Yep.
So
We got to break that cycle.
we do.
All right. Number 5 is take a self-defense class. Turn safety into fun and try a class in self-defense. We never want to think the worst could happen. However, in terms of learning to protect oneself in a potential dangerous situation, being equipped physically and mentally handle these scenarios is key. All right. Obviously, if you don't, I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to take self-defense. But really, once you start learning a thing, it becomes second nature. So if you learn some basic maneuvers and how to protect yourself and use your attackers, weight and position against them, if you learn key pressure points, those are important things. And the more that you practice, the more they're going to be with you when you actually need them.
Right.
So and I always think about Miss Congeniality. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have,
but
yes.
when she does the sing, when it's basically, pressure points is SING, so solar plexus, instep, nose, and groin. So it's the stomach, and it's the toes, it's the nose, and it's the groin. Those are very sensitive areas. So if you hit them, step on them, punch them, those are going to be more inclined to take the person down. So remember to sing. Go watch Miss Congeniality. Yeah. All right, buddy up. Number 6, do your best not to walk alone. The more the merrier in the terms of safety. So yes, we've talked about this already. Yeah. You are safer if it's not just you. So if you're planning on going for a walk, if you're planning on going for a run, try to buddy up with somebody. Don't go alone. Right. All right. Number 7, avoid oversharing on social media. While sharing your location can be good in situations when you need someone else to know where you are, it can also let criminals know when you are not at home. Posting your location,
or when you're home and alone.
Yeah, true. Posting your location, travel plans, and details about your home layout on social media can make it easy for people to know exactly how and when to break into your home. Number 8, update your friends and family. Let your friends or family know when you're going and that you'll be alone. Giving them updates along the way will give you the both of you peace of mind. Okay, we've talked about that. Number 9, tell someone you got home safe. This one's hard for me because I don't always do it because I'm like, I don't really care. Yeah. But honestly, it's really good. And it also helps whatever friend that you're out with or whoever that you've been talking that knows that you're out, it helps them feel better as well. Right. So tell your friends or family member to expect a text message from you when you get home, what to do if they don't hear from you, okay? Have a plan in place. So those are just a couple of tips. I know there's probably a whole lot more that we can go into, but I don't want to just end it on a not positive, happy note, something that you can do to work on helping feeling more safe. And
I'm sorry this one wasn't a funny one. But I thought it was important.
Okay.
So next week will be funny. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do something not so serious.
I'll do it. I'll come up with a good dick joke.
Oh, wonderful.
You're welcome.
And also, I wanted to end this. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes. So we are going to be talking some mental health situations, but I did want to put this out that I have a sticker pack that I'm going to be using as a giveaway. So when we post this, I will also post a mental health awareness post that if you like and share, you will go into the drawing to win the mental health awareness sticker pack. So that's something to look forward to.
And please like and share and follow and, encourage your friends to listen to us. I started today a Facebook group. I don't know how it works, but after you have your professional page so long, they let you start a group.
Oh, cool.
I didn't really know what the difference was, but apparently the group is more likely to be seen. So if people interact with the group, it's more likely to be seen by people that are not followers.
Oh, nice.
So if I've been trying to send them out to listeners, but it's kind of hard. I was at work. It was slow. Okay. So basically, if you can like and share and encourage other people to join the group as well, it would help as well.
Awesome.
And so you know how to find us on social media. So I'm Zeta Owens. We're Two Sides in the Truth podcast on Facebook, and on Instagram, I'm Z Mamacita, and
I'm Kelly Lady Pearl on Instagram, and our podcast is Two Sides in the Truth on Instagram as well. Yeah. And if you'd like to email the podcast, when I do check the emails, it's Two Sides in the Truth podcast @outlook.com.
Yep. And then we're going to wrap it up because poor Rick is ready to take a shower and we've taken over the room. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. Maybe come back next week and bring a friend.
Yeah. And remember, there's always 3 sides to every story.
Two sides and the truth.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.